tonight we really have the pleasure and honor of welcoming Deborah Saunders. Deborah is, do you call yourself a practitioner, Deborah? Because you're going to be able to tell us
It's all rubbish, Dave.
About what you do, how you do it, and how you're managing already to be on your third book. So you're going to share a little bit of the excitement and things that we all probably might not have realized that we've actually learned through our growing in resilience without even actually sometimes noticing it. So I'm going to leave you to enjoy being with everybody and have everybody enjoy being with you, and let's all just put on our space of growth. So let's go. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Joanne. I love speaking at Seed. When Sifu called me to ask me, the first thing I did obviously was to check that I was free and quickly book it out in my diary. And then the next thing I looked at was which Torah portion of the week it would be. And I discovered that it's Parashas Beshalach, which actually I also
Can I just ask everybody to please mute? Great.
Oh, muted.
Yeah.
I actually spoke the same week last year, and I thought, what a perfect week for a counselor to speak in, because it's all about going out Mitzrayim. It's all about going out from constriction. The word Mitzrayim, the Hebrew word for Egypt, is from the word Mitzah, which means constricted, closed in. And obviously going out of Mitzrayim means going out to the opposite, which is expansiveness. So I have the privilege as a therapist to many times a week to accompany people on their journey in their own individual ways with their own individual life circumstances, to go from a place of constriction where life feels tight and they feel small, and there's a lot of self-doubt and guilt and worry, which of course we can all relate to in our own ways. And what I'd like to share with you tonight is 4 steps that I use plenty for myself as well in my own life situation. And I've shared with many people, really ranging from teenagers going into schools and sharing this with teenagers, all the way through to grandmothers and mothers and everything in between. So I want to start off with a pasuk from Tehillim, which says, Min hametza karasika anani b'merchav, that from the constraints, we have that same word mitzah, and the same words as Mitzrayim. From the constraints I call out to Hashem, he answers me with expansiveness. And I want to explain with an analogy what this means. If you imagine going into, I know we need to literally imagine this now because the shops aren't open, but if we imagine going into House of Fraser, so you go in and let's say there's 5 floors. So if you stand on the bottom floor, you look out of the window, what do you see? A little bit of street, a few cars, maybe a few people. What happens if you go in that same building to the 5th floor? You look out, what do you see? Lots of streets, lots of people, lots of cars, possibly a horizon in the distance. And I like to use this as an analogy for the different levels of consciousness that we have inside us. We all have a place of Mitzah, a place where we look out and we see things in a very limited way. We see a little piece. We see things in a way where we feel insecure, doubting, alone. Possibly we feel like things are happening against us or at us. And then we all have, further up, we all have a place of merchav, a place of expansiveness, where we look out from a higher place at the same situation, the same person we are, the same loved people that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. We look out at that same situation or person from merchav, from an expansiveness. We see potential, we see opportunity, we feel connection, we have acceptance, we feel trust. And what I would like, my goal to share with you tonight is ways that practical steps that we can use when we realize that we have gone down those steps to a lower floor and life feels tight and things feel heavy. And like I said before, we can feel quite small and disempowered. What steps can we take on our side to do our part so that Hashem knows that we're looking for merchav? We want to connect to that part of us, which is always pumping, that's going to help us to look out at exactly the same lockdown, financial situation, relationship, self-esteem. It's going to look out at exactly the same elements from a much higher place. So I'm actually going to try and screen share quickly if I can, because do you know if I can, Joanne? It's just easy.
Yeah, Tippy just needs to make you a co-host. She just needs to. Tippy, are you there with me to co-host?
Yeah, I've just made Deborah co-host.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You see, I even know what I'm talking about now. Things have really moved.
I'm very impressed, Joanne.
Me too.
I just don't know how. Why is it not giving me an option to share? I'm not sure. Okay, I'll just try it one more time. Otherwise, it's fine. We'll work without it.
Or can you email it to Tippy and let her share it?
Yeah, I could do that. I'm going to talk while I do it so that we don't miss the time. Okay, so basically, it's like having glasses on. Whenever it is that we are experiencing something, we can either experience it. Sorry, go back to the Zoom. Here we are. Okay. Whenever we're experiencing anything, it can look like it's what's going on outside that's creating our experience. So if we feel nervous or upset or frustrated or resentful or worried or guilty, it can look like it's happening from outside. It's that person, it's what they said, it's what I need to do, that's why I'm feeling overwhelmed. Until we realize, as we're going to drive the point home tonight, that it's when I have Mitzvah glasses on, when I have glasses on, and everything I'm looking at is through a mind of constriction, of being insecure, of closed in, that's when I'm going to start feeling like life is huge and I'm tiny. And when we're able to realize that, the first thing to realize is that we have those glasses on. So we're going to use an acronym of the word watch. WATCH, watch, and that's going to give us 4 steps in any situation, and I mean any situation. And here I'm piggybacking as well as my own, the situations I use it for in my own personal life. I'm piggybacking on many people who have shared with me that these situations have worked for them, from the smallest situations to the most dramatic circumstances. These steps have helped them. So the first thing to realize is W. It stands for what? What am I feeling? Now that might sound obvious to you, but it's incredible how often we feel something and we don't even realize it. I had an experience where I was, my sister lives in Israel and it's her birthday, so I wanted to send her a present. So I obviously ordered it online and I wrote out a nice warm letter to her. And then straight after, I was doing an invoice for some work that I'd done in the school a while ago. And I pressed copy and paste, and all of a sudden this whole gushy letter came on this invoice, right? Obviously completely out of context. And I thought to myself, that's what we do. We don't realize we go into a conversation with a child, with a spouse, and we don't realize we're feeling maybe worried about finances, or someone's just said something that upset you. And all of a sudden, copy paste into that situation. That poor unsuspecting child can get tension from us because we just haven't realized that we're feeling upset about something, we're feeling worried, we're feeling angry, like the list we made before. So the first step, actually, I call it waking up. It's what am I feeling? Very simple question. Just simply noting, what is it that we're feeling? I went in recently to teach this in a classroom setting, and at the end I did feedback forms for the girls, and a lot of them said, I didn't realize it's okay to feel things. They were so busy trying to rush themselves past things. So this first step is basically just being open. What's going on with me? Emotional, just taking our emotional temperature. What's going on? That's our first step, simply noting it. Our second step, the A, is for acceptance. Whatever it is that we become aware of with the W, what am I feeling? Stressed, overwhelmed, guilty, unsure of myself, insecure, sad, whatever it is, the next step is to accept it, not to fight it. Now, interestingly, there's something I learned about acceptance that impacts me very, very deeply. I learned it a few years ago. I've shared it with many people since, and it actually comes from this week's parasha. So I want to share it with you, that when the Jewish people were taken out of Mitzrayim, out of Egypt, they were on the 49th level of impurity. That means performance-wise, as low as it could get. And that's when Hashem chose us as his beloved nation and took us out. And that's our proof that lovability, acceptance is not based on performance. It's not based on my mood. It's not based on how well I'm doing. It's not based on any type of variant. It's based on the fact that Hashem created me. He gave me a neshama, a soul, and that means that in any moment, I have a basis of unconditional self-value, which never comes into question, ever. So it's like I was talking to a 16-year-old this morning, and I was explaining this to her, and I said to her, I said, what's good news on an echocardiogram? Up, down. What's not good news? Flat line. Life is ups and downs. Sometimes we feel better, sometimes not as good. Sometimes we are doing better in a certain relationship or role that we have. Sometimes it dips. And when we're able, in the second stage, to be able to accept ourselves wherever we are, wherever we're holding emotionally or in terms of performance, that's going to give us a grounding to then go on to steps 3 and 4 and get more empowered. So I said to her, this girl this morning, very, very perfectionist, really suffering from it, a lot of anxiety. I said to her, there will never be a circumstance where you miss out the A. There will never be a time when you can't accept yourself, because it's on Hashem's shoulders that we are acceptable as people. So the A is about, as we're saying, is about acceptance. And I want to read to you a quote that I actually wrote down after I gave an empowerment course, because it really impacted me. It really touched me. What the way a woman checked out. At the end we went round and we all said what it is that I wanted to take away. And this woman said, I used to be so scared to actually say what I thought or felt, to be real, in case people will get a peek into myself and see that I'm not perfect. Now I know this is a fact. I'm not perfect. I realize no one is, so the game is up. I can stop playing perfect and be free to be myself. I can be real about my challenges and triumphs. I can be genuine about the emotions that I used to pretend I didn't have. So that's an example of someone who was able to drop into this unconditional acceptance of self. I was talking to some parents of a teenager who's really at risk, acting out, not making very sensible choices a lot of the time. And they were saying to me, and I understand their question. They said, how can we show her that we accept her? She's going to think the things that she's doing are okay, and they're not, and they're right, they're not healthy behaviors. And I said, first of all, you'd be surprised how much they know without us having to keep driving it home and lecture. They know the values that we hold. They know what's right and what's wrong. What they don't know necessarily is that they are acceptable as a person. So I said, specifically the times when she's just been on a rampage and you're probably feeling all jarred up by it, if you can, those are such powerful times to show love. because you're giving her the message, this is not based on performance, this is based on who you are as a person. How does she know? Because performance-wise, 49th level, but who she is as a person is always worthy of being loved. I was speaking to a mother yesterday whose daughter came for a counseling session for the first time, a younger teenager. And her mother said, she came home and she said, I love the room. I really like the room. Now, with all due respect to my room, it's pretty simple. What was she saying? I love the room. She was saying, I love being in an atmosphere where it's okay to be me. And we all have that room inside us that we can allow ourselves to go inside to that place that Hashem has carved out for us of being ourselves. And we can let ourselves rest there. And instead of constantly trying to prove that we're good enough, we can rest in the fact that we are worthy and lovable. Another aspect of this is not comparing to others. My husband shared with me that someone interviewed a 104-year-old woman and said, come on, what can you tell us about being 104? So she said, there's no peer pressure, right? There's no done thing for 104-year-old people to do. What was she saying with that? She's free to be herself. So when we're able, of course, we want to learn from people. And of course, we live in a society, and there's something extremely special about that. But when we're able to be real and be ourselves and value the people that Hashem has made us, that's when our best energy comes to the surface. So that's our second stage. First is what, W, what. Second is A, accept it. Then we come to T, okay? So we've put an arm around whatever insecurity or discomfort we're feeling. Now it's time to get what's real here. So when we get to T, T has two aspects. It stands for trust. Two aspects. One is we're trusting ourselves. We're trusting ourselves as the recipients of an incredible energy that Hashem is pumping through us in every moment. And I sometimes say to people, if you want a proof that you have that energy, all you have to do is put your hand on your heart, and I'm assuming that it will still be beating, and then you know it's coming. With every physical breath of air we take in emotional energy for whatever it is that's going on the outside. So when it comes to trust, we're trusting ourselves, not for me. What am I trusting? My hands back? I'm not trusting me. I'm trusting me as a recipient of what Hashem is pumping through me. Yes, that I can trust. 100% I can trust. I sometimes use the analogy that if my phone is losing charge and I start saying to you, oh no, I've got to make loads of calls and I've got to send messages and what am I going to do? What would you say to me? Charge it, right? Plug it in to the endless supply of electricity that's coming through. You're fine, you're set up, you'll do everything you need to do. So that's exactly what Hashem's saying to us. When we're saying, oh, I've got so much to do and how am I going to cope with this parenting situation and that thing that's going on with a friend, and what Hashem's saying to us is plug in, charge. Because if you plug into Hashem and you trust that he is sending that tremendous energy through you, it's endless what you can do. Absolutely endless. So when it comes to the trust part, we're trusting. We might not feel it. We might feel shaky, vulnerable, disempowered, but we are trusting that there is 100% that powerful wisdom and energy and competence and ability coming directly from Hashem through us to whatever it is that we're facing on the outside. The other aspect, obviously, of trust is trusting him. Trusting Hashem to hold all different aspects of life for us. I once had the example, an analogy. One of my kids was about 4 at the time, and she had a big handful of marbles, and she kept dropping them. And every time she dropped them, she got frustrated and tried to pick it up, and then dropped another one. And I said to her, "You give me the marbles, I'll hold them. go into the kitchen, get a plastic cup, we'll put the marbles in and you'll be set up. So off she went to get a plastic cup, came back, we put the marbles in and all was good. And then I thought to myself afterwards, that's exactly what Hashem's saying to me. I'm in my own life sometimes thinking about different home situations or work or whatever it might be, and my head is buzzing. And the more I'm trying to solve things, the more of this mitzvah, the more of this insecurity I might be feeling. And Hashem's saying to me here, drop it into my hands. Everything, yes, everything. I will hold it all for you. You go and get your plastic cup. You go and do what you need. Have purpose, and we have responsibilities. But in the moment, all we have to do, all we have to take control of, is what we need to do right now. And when we come to this trust stage, we can allow Hashem to take care of everything else. It was very cute. My son, Ellie, my 5-year-old, came home today and he said to me, he showed me his leg. He'd fallen over and he'd really cut his knee. And I said, oh, El, did anyone look after you? He said, yep, my teacher and Hashem. And I was so happy that he's growing up with this awareness that there is someone looking after him always. There is someone holding him and looking after him. Okay. So that's what happens when we come to tea. Now, when it comes to trust. Now, just going back to the self-trust. We went to Ireland in the summer, and on the ferry, there was a little kids' room. In the room was one of these mirrors that make you distorted. So the kids had a great time. They were standing there in front of this mirror and it making them look really, really tall or really square. And I use this as an analogy for sometimes when we lose trust in ourselves, we start to see ourselves distorted. Like we said before, when we have those Mitzvah glasses on, when we have those insecure glasses on, we're looking at the same us that yesterday we were very confident in and fine. Right now, not so much, right? Because we're looking through with those Mitzvah glasses, and what we're seeing in the mirror is still us, but we're looking in this distorted mirror. So all of a sudden, hey, I don't know, can I do this parenting thing? Can I trust myself in all different life situations? So it's important to realize that it's the way we're looking that is distorted, but the people we are always exquisite. How could we not be? We've been created by Hashem. So of course, the people we are always grounded and good and acceptable and respect worthy. And sometimes we look in a real mirror and we see that. And those are the times when we, figuratively speaking, are on the higher floor of the building. And other times when we're on that lower floor, we might look at the same us and see parts of ourselves we really don't like and feel pessimistic about our abilities. And we can relax about that. So what am I feeling? That's the W. Accept that. If we're not feeling secure, accept that. And then trust what's coming through us. Trust that the person I am is competent, is able. And even if I'm not seeing it now, that does not make it untrue. I was once sharing the concept of trust with a client, and we had a laugh about it, but she said to me, I'd be able to trust if I just knew it was going to happen. I said, well, Dolly, that's not trust, is it? Trust is always when it's just out of reach. It's not naive. There's very good reason to believe it, but we're not necessarily experiencing it right then, but we can still hold on to it. So we can feel self-doubting and still trust our ability. We can struggle in a relationship and still trust that we will get past it and get stronger again. So there's a trust beyond what we can necessarily see. Actually, in the introduction of in the acknowledgements of my first book, Being and Becoming, I wrote to my Rabbi Svi Bax, because originally, I never had a plan. I wasn't one of these people when you ask them as a teenager, what do you want to be when you're older? They say a counselor, a therapist. It never crossed my mind. When I was, when I had 2 children, I must have been about 23, 24. I was feeling quite restless and frustrated at home. And I went to discuss it with my rabbi in Gateshead, who in and of himself is basically a psychologist without ever having trained. He's just so wise and just fabulous. So he suggested counseling. And I remember thinking, really? Okay. And then in the introduction of my book, I wrote to him, you trusted and respected my potential to empower others, and that has mapped out the path I now walk along. He saw in me what I didn't see in myself. And it was such a tremendous gift that he gave me. And it's something that we can give other people. Definitely our children, but not only friends, our husbands, anyone we come into contact with who's in that Mitzvah mood, in that insecure mood, we can sometimes see for them what they can't see for themselves. It's absolutely there. They just can't see it. I once said to a client on an ending of one session, I said to her, my hope for you is that you will start to see in yourself what I see in you. Because I saw what an exquisite person she is, and the strength and ability that she had right there. It's not like I thought she'd have it in the future. I could see it right there. She has it. And she, at that point, couldn't see it for herself. She was looking at herself from in that distorted mirror. So it's a tremendous gift we can give other people, being able to trust in them, in their strength. That's something that we can definitely give to others. So we have W, what? A, accept it. Whatever it is we're feeling, we can put an arm around it, we can accept it, we can let it be. Then we have trust. We're trusting ourselves for what's coming through us, directly from Hashem through us into our lives. And we're trusting Him to hold every aspect of life that we can't control. Sometimes when I'm feeling overwhelmed or stressed, I'll literally write out a list, or in my head usually, I'll just list out, okay, Hashem, I'm worried about that person, and I'm worried about that situation, and COVID-19, and the future this, or whatever it might be. And as I'm listing it out, I realize now why I've been so stressed, because I didn't even realize how many things I'm trying to control within my own mind that I can very gracefully hand over to the one who really can control it. And that frees me up to do my part. And of course, I'm going to invest in doing my part. But doing my part without trying to control all the things I don't need to control means that I have full access to that energy that's coming through. So it comes through, and all of us will have had moments when we without necessarily realizing it, we've all experienced when you just say the right thing to someone, or there's a certain momentum to your day that is just going. That's when we're in that flow of energy that's coming. We're not thinking, what about this and what about that? We're just in life, and we're not grabbing onto all those aspects of life that we can't control. And we are directing our energy to the situations and relationships and decisions and choices that we can. So our fourth step is going to be choice. Those of you who were on the Dr. Edith Eger talk 2 weeks ago, which I really enjoyed, will know how much she spoke about choice, that we're not victims of life. We always have that power. And obviously hearing it from her, who has every reason to call herself a victim, hearing it from her I found very powerful, very moving. So choice is where our control lies. I was talking to an adorable teenager yesterday who's struggling in school. The school don't know what to do with her because she doesn't want to follow rule, very anti-authority. And I was explaining to her how if she chooses to follow the rules, who has the control? Her. If she just allows the teacher's rules and the teacher's mood and the teacher's comments to decide what day she has, then who has the control? Her teachers. So I gave the analogy to her of a remote control car. I said, how powerful is a remote control car? She said, well, not very, because if you pull it, it goes back. And if you push it forward, it goes forward. And if you flip it, it flips. So it has no control of its own. It's totally controlled by the person who's holding the remote. I said to her, until this session, you very nicely handed your remote to your teachers. I said to them, you're going to decide how I am. If you let me do what I want, I will be okay. If you say something I like, then I will also have a nice morning. And if not, then I won't be. They're holding the remote. I said, how would it be to hold your remote? Take your remote back, to take control back of yourself. You can't control other people. You can't control outside situations. We can't control COVID-19 as much as people are trying desperately. We can't. What we can control is how we choose to go through it. That's something, if we take that remote back, it's something that we can start to manage ourselves, help other people, choose, see the opportunity. That is something that no one can ever take off us. That's something that is our choice and is our control. So what I've noticed in myself, actually, interestingly, is sometimes the more overwhelming things are on the outside, the more deliberate I get about my choice. I'll say to myself, what is your choice right now? And when I say that to myself, it really grounds me, because specifically the times when there's so much I'm up against that I'm not in control of, those are the times when I want to be very deliberate and very clear about, in this situation with this person I really care about, who's going through a complete crisis. I can't control the crisis, but I can control what I do. I actually went with my brother yesterday to the Manchester Rosh Hashiva's Keva. It's for those of you from Manchester, it's in Phillips Park Cemetery. And I went because there's a girl who I know who's unfortunately really hit a crisis in her mental health. And I was so gutted about it, really sad and really upset. Like, I really had a pain about it. And I thought, look, I can carry this pain around and it can affect my parenting, or I can choose, what can I do? I can go and I can daven, and I can express my pain in something constructive, and then I can let it go. I'll do my part and let Hashem hold the rest. So I felt so light after, because I really felt that, like, that caring can be channeled. It doesn't have to hover around our heads in worry. We can channel our caring when we make choices, and we know that that's where our control lies. So it's interesting, because actually, again, in this week's Sedra, Nachshon ben Aminadab was the hero who went into the Dead Sea, who went into the Yam Suf. Sorry, not the Dead Sea. Who went into the Yam Suf, and he went in till here, and that's when it split. Now, of course, it didn't split because he went in. He didn't push the water open, but he did his part. He did his part. He invested. When we show up and we show Hashem that we care, and we invest in the things that are important, that's when things happen. That's when the sea splits. That's when we see not that it came from the effort that we did, that we made, but the effort that we make facilitates what Hashem drops down. I picture it like a vending machine. You put the code in, you press the button, and out drops the bottle of water or Coke or whatever drink you happen to be choosing. And that's how I see my investment. For example, if I'm sitting with a troubled, counseling someone troubled, I I am so passionate about what I do, and I believe in what I do, and I invest heart and soul in it. It's not like I sit there thinking, oh, well, if they're supposed to get better, they will. And if they're not, well, shame, not at all, right? Heart and soul in it, but knowing that the heart and soul, the investment, the caring, the giving, the taking responsibility is me putting the code and pressing the button, but that's not where the shift, the healing is going to come from. The healing is going to come directly from Hashem to his precious daughter sitting in front of me. That's where it comes from. And it makes it makes the feeling when we're giving a whole lot easier and more powerful. So it's not like I'm saying, oh, I can't really counsel, I'm not really good at doing that. It's not at all. It's saying I believe in it. Like we said, we're trusting ourselves, but we're not pressuring for the results. The results come from Hashem, and we can trust that. My son Yitsu's taking GCSEs this year, whatever form they're going to have this year, and he said this exact thing. He said, Mummy, I'm just going to do my best. I'm just going to learn. I don't know what's going to be. This was like a while ago, but I'm just going to learn and do my best. And I could see the difference, like he'd been stressing about it. And I could see once he got to that, he had a very different attitude, and his study time has gone up, not down. Because when we're doing our part, we feel empowered to do it. We enjoy it more. And it works a lot better. Like we said, we're able to catch that energy and use it. So that's on the subject of choice. A couple of Torah portions ago, in Parashas Shemos, actually three weeks ago, at the burning bush, Moses was standing there, and Hashem said to him, the place where you're standing, the ground where you're standing right now is holy. And I remember reading from Rabbi Israel Talva, something that really impacted me, that Hashem's always saying that to us. Hamakom, the place, the decision you're making now, the way you're giving to your child, the choice whether to acknowledge someone across the street, of course, more than 2 meters away, but whether to pretend you didn't see them or to acknowledge them, it's holy. Everything we're doing, practical, emotional, it's holy. When we're able to be mindful of the things that we're doing, of the choices that we're making, it's very, very much more empowering. I heard an analogy from Rabbi Weinberg, that's the head of AGE, who I think at present doing a very big campaign. So I'm advocating for them. They're an excellent organization. He said, imagine a basketball game. So the players are running around and they're, sweaty and tired and achy, but they're like totally in the game, having the best time. What would happen if you took the ball away? After 30 seconds, possibly a minute, oh, my leg hurts. Oh, I'm too tired. You know what? Forget it. Right? Because when we take the goal away, when we take meaning away, all of a sudden, all we can feel are our aches and pains. So when we're able to put meaning into it, we're able to find value in the things that we're doing. Yes, another supper. Yes, another compassionate text to a friend. Yes, and whatever it might be that we're doing in the moment, remembering the ground that you're standing on right now is holy. So when we're able to zone in and put that ball back in the game, put meaning into it. What am I doing right now? Make eye contact with the person you're speaking to. Be, like we're saying, be mindful of the things that you're doing and the ways that you're giving. That's going to help you to connect to this amazing energy inside you, to connect to the merchav, the expansiveness. That's when we're energized, when we have a goal, when we have a purpose, when we're not just going through things by rote. So yes, even in lockdown, find things that are meaningful to you. Find ways of giving to people. The things that you're doing, the people that you're with, the ways you can reach out, find meaning in them. And when you do, you'll feel yourself engaging. You'll feel that energy. I very much do when I think of this that I'm sharing with you. I very much feel that. You know, sometimes before I speak, I can get quite nervous. And I sometimes think about possibly who I might touch by what I'm saying, or the value in what I'm saying. And then it's not just about me and my nervousness and my insecurity or my self-doubt or whatever might be coming up in that moment. It's the ball's back in the game. Yeah, it might be a bit achy. There might be some nerves there, but that's okay in the bigger picture of giving and empowering, of using the talents and the abilities that Hashem has given each of us in a way that can impact the world, of shining our light into the world. Then the aches and the pains and the difficulties doesn't mean they're not there. And of course, we can give them space. Like we said at the beginning, we can give space to the challenge. But when it comes to choice, we're able to put meaning in, yes, with the nervousness, yes, with the worry, yes, with the frustration. What is my best choice right now? So I want to end with something that I saw about Eishes Chayil, which is what's sung on Friday night. It's the praise of the Jewish woman. And I saw something that I really liked. It really gave me empowerment. So I want to share it with you. It says, she perceived that her merchandise is good, her light will not extinguish in the darkness. So when a Jewish woman is able to see her merchandise as in her own value, her ability to illuminate the people she loves around her will not extinguish. First, we have to be there for ourselves. We have to empower ourselves, be more aware of ourselves. Like we said, accept ourselves, trust in ourselves, trust the ability and power that Hashem's giving us and pumping through us in every moment for our lives. Then we can illuminate. Then we can put our candle to the light of others and help them to find their way through life. We can only do that when we're able to value and empower ourselves. So the mitzvah of lighting Shabbos candles has been given to a woman because of her power to illuminate. One more, it was funny. One morning I came downstairs and I was in a very stressed mood. And before I knew it, the kids were squabbling, and it was one of those mornings, right? Which was less than perfect, and you know, it was tense. And the next morning I came down in a really sunny mood, and all the kids were just gorgeous with each other and huggy. And I caught my husband's eye. I said, I don't know what you mean. My mood has nothing to do with the kids or what goes on around. It was so obvious to me how powerful a woman is. Now, I'm not saying that we are always able to be calm and in that merchav and feeling confident and feeling even happy and calm, right? And not stressed. But what I am saying is it puts value on exactly what we've been doing tonight, which is finding ways that we can tune in and find more of that light coming up, more of that strength coming up. Because when we're in a good place, then we're able to shine on the people around us, on the people that we care about the most. So tomorrow night, when we light Shabbos candles, let's think about this. Let's think about our own light that Hashem is putting inside us. It's not something we have to earn. It's something that is there as our birthright. He just gave it to us, just as his precious daughters. We're able to have that light. We're able to trust it. We're able to accept ourselves. And then we can look forward to being able to illuminate and empower and trust and love and give to the wonderful people around us. Thank you very much for listening.